Dr. Jackson. Thanks everybody who's here with us today on YouTube or Facebook. It goes without saying, I wish we were all in a room together in a time when we had smiles on our faces and could see each other. But we're not in that moment right now, so we're going to make the best of it that we can. I'm sorry that we were a moment late getting started. I created a bit of a technical problem, which won't surprise any of you who know me, but people scurried and got it worked out, and here we are. So thanks for taking time to be with me. I'm going to make a few framing remarks at the beginning, and then I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to listen to the rich feedback that I'm sure all of you have. And then if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. We will do another town hall tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. And everybody in the community, internal and external, is invited to participate in one, both, or none of those as their interest would dictate. As you may know, our strategic plan runs out at the end of this year, 2020. And what we're trying to do is build a bridge strategic plan that will serve us for the next year or two, while then we engage in a more traditional stakeholder process of building a long-term strategic plan. I'm reminded in the world of COVID-19 of the introduction to A Tale of Two Cities, which if there are any of my English faculty members, colleagues online will remember. Starts out, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And I know we may feel like this year has only been the worst of times, and there has been plenty of that with the pandemic and all of the changes it required us to make, and all of the people who are suffering very personal losses because of that. So we don't diminish the worst of times in any way. But it is also the best of times in a few ways. It has proven to all of us how incredibly resilient we are, if we needed proof of that. I think it has brought out the better angels in all of us. Who have stepped up to lift those in our community up in the moments when they might need to be lifted up the most. And it has also caused us to make probably a 10-year advance in our technology enabled instruction. It's caused us to do that in a 6-month period of time, something that might have been a decade in the making otherwise. So there have been some good things that have come from a very bad thing. And so we're going to try to build, as I said, a short-term strategic plan. And the reason for that is we weren't able to really engage in the physical process that we would have normally engaged in. If you will remember, when we built the strategic recruitment plan last year, we did this in the same way, and it seemed to work extremely well. We created an advanced draft, which all of the senior administration agreed upon. We shared it with the Board of Governors, and this was done based on a lot of constituent feedback that we have received from just about every possible constituent group. And then we put that draft out for people to give feedback to. And I've already been receiving some excellent feedback. We're also layering onto it this year the additional layer of asking the Open Task Force to be a major role in strategic planning and being sure that we're considering equity and inclusion as a building block of the strategic plan, not just something that is layered on at the last minute, as frankly so many colleges and universities across the country have done. So we came up with 5 major points. The graphic was sent out to you again in advance of this, so I hope everybody has seen it. And we have one circle, actually there are 5 kind of ovals and one circle in the middle. And the circle says that students are the core and equity is the foundation. And so our strategic plan core, everybody knows how I like an acronym, stands for creating opportunities to renew education. The idea is that every single objective that we come up with could find a home under one of these 5 overreaching goals. So if anybody's wondering why there are things that are very important that aren't called out as a goal, it's because hopefully all of them will fit logically underneath one of the umbrella goals that we have. However, I want to say to you again, this is very, very much a work in progress, and we've already made some changes to it based on feedback. We will make other other changes to it based on feedback until we get it to a point that it's something that through shared governance we can all agree to. We're just trying to do that in a compressed time frame so that we have it to start the new year. Also, starting in the new year, we will begin to engage with, we'll have someone come in from the outside and help to lead us through a process which will result in the longer term plan. And we'll do more of the traditional constituent groups and things of that nature as small groups to build the long term plan. Hopefully, this will be the basis for that. The five goals that we came up with are in no prioritized order because you'll see that the arrows go back and forth in both directions. One thing no more important than the other. Branding, program quality, workplace culture, community engagement, and recruitment. Broadly, branding means telling the story, which is something I think we've been doing quite well for the last couple of years. And hearing out in the community, I don't know about you, that our brand identity is maybe stronger than it's ever been, and people are loving the marketing campaigns that we are doing. Program quality is all the things that lead into retention of students. And what retains our students is the quality of our academic programs and the quality of the support that those programs receive from the staff. Workforce culture calls out the fact that we're not ever going to serve students beyond how happy we are as a team working on their behalf. So we need to make sure that the employees of the university are well served, and that means every employee at every level, one not preferenced any more than the other. Community engagement talks about our presence in the physical communities that we serve. A lot of you have heard me say that we have to be both of and for the communities we serve. One physical manifestation of that recently was the opening of the Market Street location, though there are many others. And then recruitment. We are an open enrollment, tuition driven institution. And I am particularly proud of how strong our enrollment numbers came in this semester in the middle of the crisis, even when we were using technology enabled instruction, and even when so many universities and colleges were reporting declines. So, you also then had a document that came to you, which were objectives that we would start with under each of these. And I want to tell you a few pieces of really good feedback that I've received so far. And if the people who gave me this feedback want to identify themselves, you can. If not, I'll just give it anonymously. But faculty members suggested to me that we really need to finally just begin to advertise to the world the fact that we are a destination college, that we have things here that are good enough that people from not just our main service area, but anywhere in the world ought to be willing to come to. And you probably know that I have a group of our own students led by our business faculty doing a feasibility study right now on campus-based housing. We don't yet know what the results of that will be, but they're having a conversation with the community about it. And it's one of the things that's on the table, which might help us to become more of a destination campus. Another really good piece of feedback I received is the mission statement of the college on the table for an update and revision as well. And I think the answer to that is, while we want to keep the basic tenets of the mission statement in place, sure, the language with which we say what we're trying to accomplish is very much in play. So at this point in time, I'm going to stop with my overview. And this session and tomorrow's session is really to invite you to offer any feedback that you have. And feedback doesn't just mean this is the best idea I've ever heard. Feedback means telling us what we got right and what we can do better. And then in addition to that, if there are any questions that any of you have, I'll try to answer those. Dr. Jackson?
Well, currently you have 31 folks that are joining you, but as of yet, no questions have been posted.
Well, this is not a shy group. If we were in the room together, lots of hands would be going up. So I'm sure they will be. And while I'm eager to answer questions, I'm even more eager to receive feedback. I'm eager for you to start pointing out to us the holes that you see or the things that we've called too much attention to. I'm eager to hear you talk about the process and how you feel about a short term, 1 or 2 year strategic plan that will then serve as the basis for a longer term plan. I neglected to mention that next year we're also going to invite every single department and division on campus to do departmental and divisional strategic plans flowing out of the comprehensive plan. So everybody will have an ability to take this to the very most granular level, the most local levels at the college, where I would argue that the most important work takes place. So,
So, would you like to share with us anything about a strategic retention plan? That seems to be something new.
sure, I'm happy to do that. I think that the strategic recruitment plan that we came up with was such a good plan, and we proved, we were just on the edge of proving that it was going to work when the world fell apart at our feet. But it still worked in that we have gotten more new students, a higher percentage of new students than we've had in a long time. And so, even though all of our recruitment tools were taken away and both hands were tied behind our back, we were able to prove that the recruitment plan can work. And I do believe that we're going to emerge on the other side of this. And we're going to get to go back to doing things face to face the way that we have been. So I'm convinced, based on the strength of the strategic recruitment plan, that retention is just as important and that we need to develop a strategic plan for how we go about retaining the students once they get here. And that'll be one of the things that I'll be tasking a group of people to work on in the new year as well.
Your group is being very shy today.
I don't mind that. Um, you know, I want to make sure that everybody who has something to say gets to say it. And I hope that you know about me by now that while I am far from perfect, one of the things that I am is pretty transparent. And I try to be very inclusive. So, I don't solicit conversation just for the sake of conversation or meeting just for the sakes of meeting. But I want to make sure that everybody has something to say, has a forum in which to say it. You can also meet with me privately, as some of you have done. You can also send email messages, and you'll see how all of those things then become enfolded into finalizing this bridge strategic plan. So, silence could mean assent. It could mean that people think that we captured most of what needed to be captured, but I know it'll be richer if you continue to give some new ideas as well.
We have a comment where we would like to see more stronger goals regarding workforce partners.
Okay. I'm very interested in that. Can the person elaborate a little bit more? That could be defined in a lot of different ways, and I want to make sure that I understand the intent.
Okay. It was Michelle Wilson. She's saying WVUP has done a great job at getting our name out there over the past year. We really need to start telling our success stories.
Amen to that, because there are so many. And while they're everywhere in the college, they're not in short supply in Dean Wilson's own area. More learn and earn grants than anybody in the state of West Virginia, and some of the best workforce partnerships that I know of. We have a lot to build on. So I like the idea of that, and I've made a note of it. I could sing just to stall, but I think I'll spare you that this afternoon. I understand this is a reticent time. We all are battered right now, and I'm just calling it like it is. There's probably not a single person in here who doesn't feel that they've had the wind let out of their sails, or that they're just very battered by all the events that are happening in the world right now, all the birthday parties that we're not getting to have, and all of the rich face-to-face class discussions that aren't happening. Our students are reaching out to me, and I hear you, and they're saying to me, we want to be together again, and I want that too. It's just not the moment that we live in right now. But really, that's the reason that I conceived of this process, because I sense that this is a reticent moment, a quiet moment in our community, which is why I'm just trying to build a bridge which will get us to better times. And then we will come together as a group and do this the old fashioned way. So, any more questions or comments, Dr. Jackson?
Yes, Michelle Wilson said she will be sending you some feedback, but also she would like to have some of our business partners have a little bit of say in the programming that we do.
I love that idea. I really do. We just wrote a grant, as Michelle knows. She was one of the people who worked on leading that team, which, if we're funded and we were the lead for the whole state of West Virginia, will bring those workforce partners more into the conversation. And we'll make sure that we're not only giving people the credentials that we want them to have, but we're giving them the credentials that employers want them to have. And I think that is critically important.
All right, Melissa McKinley has added a comment. As far as recruitment, I saw a major interest in the Tyler County community when they found out that the college was financially feasible. COVID threw a wrench in recruitment because of social distancing, but one day we'll be out. It is very important to reach out to some areas that are intimidated regarding financial strain.
I think that's a very good comment. And, while I am not the president of any of the other community colleges in the state of West Virginia, I doubt that there are any that are as fiscally feasible as we are, as you say, because we've worked really hard, long time before I got here, to make sure that we have strong financial reserves, and we're very careful in the way that we spend our money. So there are lots of colleges, both in West Virginia and elsewhere, who've been laying off workforce and eliminating programs and things of that nature. And we have not done, and unless this pandemic lasts for a very long time, don't anticipate that we'll be called on to make any of those hard decisions. So, sharing the good news of the fact that we are tightening our purse strings for sure, and looking at all of the dollars that we spend, but that we have reserves to fall back on if we need them, is certainly a message that we're eager to share.
We have another note of feedback. It is assumed that any educational institution would have education as part of its strategic plan. But aside from the program quality bubble, can we have the word education somewhere in this diagram? Maybe educational program quality. I am a very visual person.
That's one of the better comments that I have heard, and proof positive that you all are fully capable of improving on what your president comes up with. Sure, we all should know that education is the center of everything that we're doing, but we ought to advertise what it is that we are trying to promote. And I've made a note of that, and I appreciate the very good suggestion.
I've also received a text that some people are having trouble commenting. So I would say in that instance, if they just get the information to you, I'm sure you will take it into consideration.
I absolutely will, and more than taken into consideration. I don't believe that I own the strategic plan of the university. I believe that the community written large owns the strategic plan. So I will be doing my very best to incorporate all of the feedback that we receive.
We also have a comment that says, how can we promote our grants, WIA, work study, and paid programs such as the Chemical Operators Program?
How can we promote them? Sounds like a question that might be really good for you, Dr. Jackson.
It is a question, and we plan to promote these programs in many ways. We work with the faculty, and we actually are doing several things on Facebook right now to highlight different programs, and that is part of our list. So you will be hearing much more about not only students participating in those programs, but also alumni from those programs.
Thank you. It goes back to one of the comments that we heard earlier about making sure that we're doing the best we can to tell the very good stories that we have to tell. I will say to you, I don't know how many of you participated in the National Institutes last week, but our students really distinguished themselves. Nobody tells our stories better than our students do. And if you want to go back and watch the community college panel that Tori has sent the link out for, you'll see what's on the mind of our students in West Virginia here and at the other community colleges. And as I said, I think you would leave that if you go back and watch the recording, as I did, with the realization that nobody tells our stories better than they do.
All right, for now, do you have some closing comments?
Not really, other than repeating the things that I've already said. And I think instead of that, I'll give you your time back. I want the process to be transparent. I want the process to be inclusive. I do admit that I want the process to be expedient so that we can start the next year with a bridge strategic plan, which will then be the foundation of a longer term strategic plan, which we will all work on in a more contemplative process. But we will do this again tomorrow. If you want to tell any of your friends to come, or if you just didn't get quite enough and want to come back, and we'll also create spaces for you to leave written feedback or for you to visit with me privately or in small groups over the next couple of weeks in a socially distanced way if you have anything that you'd like to share.
So maybe you could answer a question for your last statement then, one that came in that talks about a bullet point that notes the role the college plays in community engagement. And can you share some tangible ideas of how WVU Parkersburg will do this?
Engage in community engagement. Sure. I think that we've been very active in trying to revitalize all of the relationships with our feeder schools. And while there's still more work to do there, particularly with the guidance counselors, we've been working extremely well with the superintendents and many of the people there. And I think our strong enrollment, even in bad times of the pandemic, indicates that's working. So, number one, we'll continue to work with the feeder schools. Number two, we're going to continue to be a part of everything that we can be a part of and a leader of those things which we're the natural leader for. And one example for that would be the Arts Collaborative of the Mid Ohio Valley, which currently has about 12 of the nonprofit arts organizations all throughout our communities. Working with us under an umbrella, a convening umbrella of WVUP. And I think this is a real case study of excellence. You may note that some months ago we did a virtual series of 12 weeks of a variety show that we convened that Cinta and many other people worked on. And I don't remember the numbers for that, but thousands and thousands and maybe even tens of thousands of community engagements that came from that. And I will continue as the president of the institution to be an active member of lots of boards and to engage with the business and industry leadership of the community. And I don't have to be the only one. I invite all of you to rise up and find places of service in the community. That's how we engage with the community. That's how we build a brand. That's how we build on the fact that I, for one, believe we have convinced this community that there's no institution of higher learning that loves the Mid Ohio Valley more than we do. And anything that we can do to further that message, I will be eager for us to do.
And we do have a comment where a student plans to start next fall in the new program that's a bridge from LPN to RN, and she is providing applause, thankful for that opportunity.
Well, we're thankful for it. We're very thankful for it too. And I'm not claiming something we don't have yet, but the grant that I was talking about earlier, if we get it, and I think we're a very viable contender, will provide untold new resources to support our healthcare programs. And so by the time that student arrives in the fall, we may have taken a great program and made it even better. So is that all, Dr. Jackson?
That is all. Thank you.
Thank you all for being with me today. I look forward to any further feedback that you want to provide, and I hope that everybody will have a great afternoon. Bye bye.